Hi, everybody. I know it's been like 2 weeks, and it's been one of the most regrettable 2 weeks of my life. Welcome to Moohead Radio. I'm your host, a still furry bovine, and for the next whatever period of time, we'll be talking about Northeast Ohio sports. There are a few things I want to talk about first. Uh, and my absence, I think if people follow my social media, I'm a very private individual. I really don't, go for the jugular on social media. But uh, everything happened so fast to make an unfortunately long story short. Uh, my father, I would say when he was like 89 years old, he looked like he was at the end, man. And they put a pacemaker in him, and it brought him, it jump started him back to life, and so he started really improving in his health. He was up and around and walking and all kinds of things, and then back problems, which we all know about, Bronk. My dad was diabetic, and he also had some nerve issues as far as the sciatic nerve, just nerve pain. And he opted for a very complex back surgery, which I really was not in favor of. But what are you going to do? He did not. He's the kind of guy who wasn't going to be happy if he couldn't get around, and he went through that, and he made it through that, and was trying to rehab that back, and he got to a point where he was able to go out to dinner, and with his wife, and they went to a restaurant in the mall, and that was great. And they came back. One of the side effects of the surgery, though, was that he had gastrointestinal issues that they couldn't quite identify. So when he came home, he had to really go to the bathroom, and he tried to go there too fast, and he was using a walker, and he fell and he broke his hip.
Yeah. Wow.
And once that happened, he had to get surgery for the hip.
Yeah.
And he made it out of the surgery, and they brought him back to a room, getting him ready for rehab, and he had a massive stroke. And he never recovered from the stroke. It had to have been the most difficult 2 weeks of my life, seeing this man who was the rock of my life when I was a kid, literally left speechless. I mean, he had aphasia from the stroke, which means he couldn't put thoughts together. He thought he was making sense, but he wasn't. He was frustrated. It was, all I can tell you is my dad and I had many conversations over the years, and he wasn't the kind of person who wanted to live in a certain way of being totally restricted. And at 92 years of age, people don't come back from this kind of stuff. And he started to get a little bit better, and then it just crashed and burned. And the next thing you know, a week after that, he was brought back home for hospice, spent the last days with him, and then the funeral, and it was just a lot in a short period of time, and something that you don't forget about. And it is what it is. I also had a little surprise. I got myself a new lens prescription, and they found a slightly torn retina in my right eye.
Oh, wow.
So I had to have, so there was one Friday where I was really thinking about doing the program, but they had to do this laser procedure on my right eye. And I was like blind as a bat, and
Yeah.
I didn't really want to do a show that way. And say, let me quote a story, Erg Salvador 70, because I couldn't read. And it was, so that's another reason why I missed another show. But my eyesight is fine. and my mind is somewhat cleared from all of that. And it makes a person do some thinking. And, the thinking that I've done, I mean, I'm going to be 66 years old in May, and they say that 66 is the new 56. I don't know what
Yeah,
I don't
right.
really don't know what they say, but my eyes as
Who are these
witness.
they anyway? It's
Yeah,
those
I
people,
know,
isn't
I know. My eyes can see, and I look at myself in the mirror, and it's it's like,
Yeah.
what in the hell happened to me? So you start thinking to yourself, what do I want to do? Uh, how do I want to move forward? And I'm going to be really dead straight honest. I've lived in Florida for 23 years, and the reasoning behind living here was a promise that I made to my ex-wife, and it was something that she had tromped around the country with me because of this fixation on radio stations that I had. And it was like, hey, you get to pick where we end up, and she chose this area. And so for 23 years lived in this area. A lot has changed in Florida. The climate, it has gotten much hotter.
What you
Which
mean the political climate?
well, that too.
Yeah.
I mean, I've never in my life, seen 108-degree heat indexes
Oh, that's
with
crazy.
11 on a 10 scale of ultraviolet rays day after day. And when they tell you don't leave your house between 10 in the morning and 4 in the afternoon, and it's like, they got a senior population down here, and they don't
they're
want
all
people
gonna
out there,
die.
croaking, just
they're all gonna die.
yeah, let's go out to the mall. And they don't, you can see the carcasses rotting in the mall parking lot and the vultures swooping down. And then there is the political climate, and I'm not going to get into politics because I'm sick of politics. And politicians are all liars. And I don't care if it's Joe Biden, I don't care if it's Donald Trump, if it's Ron DeSantis, they're all liars. And I don't have time for that kind of nonsense. But I'm watching a very boisterous group of people becoming very threatening and ominous, and I'm not real overly thrilled with that. But that being said, I have a good relationship with my doctor, which is important to have a good doctor when you start hitting a certain age. But I'm still young enough that I can go somewhere and do something. So the original plan was, hey, you're gonna over the summer, find a place to go, which is a famous Florida thing. But then I thought to myself, what about a second home? What about a second home?
What about it?
Yeah, I thought to myself, keep this within certain economies. I could probably do this. And I started looking in different states, in Delaware and Maryland and Pennsylvania, and I was looking all over the place discovering some very nice areas. I wanted to be far enough north. Upstate New York was another one.
Mm-hmm.
And when my father passed away, it's kind of like, and this is not meant to be funny, but it is meant to be funny. You wake up and you realize you're an orphan.
Yeah, correct. You may be 66 years old, but you're still an orphan. I mean, I was orphaned a few years ago. I was like 59 or something.
Yeah. My mom passed in 07, and that's the end of the family line.
Yeah.
And so I have no family here.
Well, yeah, I mean, if your father was your family down here and you don't have family in Florida, then why the fuck stay? I mean, I'll give you an article I was reading about climate change, and I know maybe some people out there don't believe in that sort of stuff, but they said that you won't believe the place they recommended moving to in America. You will not absolutely believe it. Duluth, Minnesota. They actually recommended moving to Minnesota as the best place to be shielded from climate change because it's going to get warmer. So the winters won't be quite so bad, and the summers won't be like crazy.
Well, that would put me in danger of being eaten by Tony the calf. and
Exactly.
can't have that.
Can you imagine Minnesota being? I mean, what a cruel world it is.
Yeah, it's but so I started really thinking about things, and it's like, well, if I go to Delaware, if I go to Maryland, if I go to, I don't know anybody in Delaware, I don't know anybody in Maryland, I don't, and and of course, Rocks would be going with me. My as far as my ex-wife is concerned, she chose to move back to this area. And which is another circumstance. So I got to really thinking about it and said, I know a lot of people in Ohio.
Yeah, you do.
I don't have any family in Ohio, but I have people who are friends in Ohio. And I started looking at houses in Ohio. And
Well, you could get some. I mean, my sister lives in Northwest Ohio, so near Bell Fountain and Wapakoneta and Marysville, in between there. She's got a massive house for like 200 grand. I mean, you can get some real like buys out in rural. It's just that you'll be in red state Ohio, but that is what it is. But you can get some absolutely beautiful homes out there, or you can move to Bath and live next to LeBron.
yeah, right. That's a little swanky for me. But at any rate, so I've been chasing that down, and I've pretty well made up my mind that I'm going to have a second home, and it's going to be up in Ohio. And I think one of the reasons is, and I'll explain this to people, and I know a lot of the viewers are younger on the program. When you're younger, the whole world gets really larger, and when I was young and I grew up in Canton, Ohio, that was enough, and then when I left, the world was like so much
Huge.
larger to me because I went traveling from city to city, managing radio stations, owning radio stations, and literally, traipsing all over the country. And I saw a lot of this country driving across from Spokane, Washington, all the way to Danville, Illinois, and then to Flint, Michigan, and then to Binghamton, New York, and all of the places. Then, being down in Florida here for 23 years, and all of it, everything just became bigger. But when you get older, you start realizing that your world is starting to get smaller again.
Yeah, then it gets absolutely tiny, which is what
Well,
you're experiencing right now, and which some of us in the chat room probably, if you're all the same age as us. But another good, just slightly off topic, another good place for you would be like the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. I
of
mean,
Michigan, yeah.
absolutely beautiful up there, and you could do your sports and your whatever.
But I have a built-in reason to be up there because this program's gone on for 20 years now. And I'm not going to stop doing this because I love doing this. I'm not going to stop being a Cleveland sports fan because, well, I'm a Cleveland sports fan, and real fans just don't walk away because number 6 isn't playing, or because, another guy who's making $200 to $40 million guaranteed is playing. The reality is that I have ties to that part of the country from earlier in my life. But the funny part of it is, I was an avid tennis player. My back won't let me play tennis anymore. I'm not swinging golf clubs. Just look at Tiger Woods and you'll know why you can't golf with a bad back. It just doesn't.
Tiger.
Oh, Tiger. Wait. Oh, Tiger, you wanted to go to Augusta, didn't you? Oh, and every time I see your face wince on the backswing, I feel like screaming and saying, ouch. Yeah. So, my feeling is you can do less of those types of things. You got to find other things to do. You got to find more things to do. So I know that territory like the back of my hand because I lived there for so many years. So we'll see what comes of it. We'll see if I actually can find something that works.
Wow.
We'll see. So That's what's been happening during the 2-week period that I have been gone. And but now I'm back and have a few things that I want to say about the sports situation. First of all, the Cavaliers, 51 wins with a chance for 52. Who would have thunk that? We cemented the number 4 slot. It's going to be hell against the Knicks because as crazy as it sounds, they lost their best statistical player, but they seem to have emerged better without him. Julius Randle jacking up shots to the outside and is kind of a slower 2-point guy. And they have become a fast running team that throwing up threes like there's no tomorrow and putting up a lot of points on the board. This could become a problem because a lot of teams are attacking the Cavaliers now. If you look at
from playing harder and quicker,
yeah, what they're doing is they're not letting the Cavaliers defense get set, and they're spreading their offense. And what they're doing is then going one-on-one and beating individual men and getting to the basket. And the fact that Jared Allen hasn't been around and still doesn't look right until the last couple of minutes of the last game he played, he didn't look like the same guy who previously was clogging up the middle. And with Isaac Okoro, who's our best, defensive perimeter guy.
Him? What's wrong with him?
Nobody within the organization is talking about it, and that's all I know. And that isn't good.
Wow,
that isn't good. And it's going to be very difficult to replace a guy. And the things to look out for when you're dealing with the Knicks now. The bench that they can throw at you, we know Hartenstein, he played a little bit, and he's their big guy who can, he plays good verticalized defense and can clog off people going to the basket. And Quickly, who is really become a real spark plug for their second unit. They have some, and Brunson, who burned us the last time we played him.
God.
And they got some real weapons out there, and if they're knocking down the threes, that's going to be hard because the Cavaliers are mainly a slow down half court kind of thing. This is one team and another team trying to impose opposite wills on one another. And if you want to know if the Cavs are going to win the series, just watch the series and see if the game's being played in the half court, the Cavaliers will win the series. If the game is wide open and we're clanking 3-point shots and they're getting out on the break, and then they're just whipping the ball to a wide open man behind the arc, it's going to be their series. So, this is a tough one to call. But without worrying about it now, because we have to do the play-in games. It's going to be about 10 days before the Cavaliers see the floor again.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, when would be the first playoff game?
I think that they're speculating on the weekend of the next Saturday or Sunday is what the initial
the 15th, 16th.
Yeah, to get through the play-in and get that out of the way.
I forgot about all that shit.
Yeah, it's a different league these days.
I like the fact that they did away with that rule that the division winners automatically get like 1, 2, 3 seeds. Which because Miami obviously would be a 3 seed if they won that division, and that's not happening anymore.
Right.
So I'm happy about that.
Darius Garland has been a little bit off. I don't think, but this is a new experience. And the real question that I have is, and I'm not giving anybody any goofy ideas, but if the Cavaliers get beat up in the first round of the playoffs to the Knicks, I'm wondering whether you're going to see Bickerstaff back. And the reason I say that is only inside the organization knows. I'm looking at some things and some players are looking kind of funny at him. And there comes a point where, he's a player's coach and that's all wonderful and good. But, you either have control of your team or you don't. When Ty Lue was in Cleveland and he did well and won a championship there, he really had the ears of a lot of the veteran players on the team. But the younger players who were left behind once LeBron left, he did not have the ears of the younger players. And poor Ty lasted 6 games before they said, forget this. And he was going through all kinds of health problems because it was hard for him to deal with. And, I can foresee the same kind of thing. The truth is, when you're as young a team as the Cavaliers are, coaches like Popovich, who got his players with you look back at the Spurs and it's like, wow, he had David Robinson when he was just out of the Naval Academy. He had Tim Duncan when he was just out of Wake Forest. He had all of these players who turned out, and when Kawhi Leonard came years later, he fit right in because he learned from those other veterans. And, there was continuity. We've got some fine young players, but we have a very incomplete roster. And the biggest thing we don't have is a true 3-and-D kind of guy. And it's going to be tough.
I think Bickerstaff kind of reminds me of the NBA's version of Romeo Crennel. Like really nice guy, knows a lot. People get on with him, but there's, he doesn't have that 100% thing about that champion head coaches have. I think that's what it is. So,
well, I'll be bold enough to say that nobody mistakes him for a great X's and O's coach. And the truth is, these guys are young. Guys like Okoro and Mobley and Garland. Even Spida is what, 26 years old. Yeah. And I'll tell you, they wouldn't be winning these games if it weren't for Donovan Mitchell in a lot of cases.
He's had a run the past 4 games that's been better than anything LeBron ever did over 4 games in a regular season.
He's an amazing offensive player, and we're lucky to have him.
Yeah, and he's playing with a hurt finger, I would imagine. I imagine that finger that he's got or had taped up is probably still not 100%.
Yeah, I thought that Dean Wade would amount to be a better player, but that shoulder is not healed. His shot looks mechanically off. And, Okoro, when he was healthy, he was actually starting to knock down some threes and help the team. And now this, and who knows what the story is with his knee.
Did you watch the game last night? Because I could not cope with more than 2 minutes of it. And I went to bed because I didn't want to see a bullpen game in the NBA.
Well, and that's what you saw from both teams. And I thought that
I didn't want to watch that.
What was really interesting was watching Danny Green play. And, the fact that Danny Green is a guy who knows how to play the game. He's a veteran presence. And think of Kevin Love when he still knew how to play. I want to point out, by the way, the same Kevin Love who, abandoned the Cavaliers and screwed them over at the drive-through. He is, since he's gotten to Miami, his minutes have diminished from 24 minutes a game down to about 16 minutes a game. He's shooting 29% from 3, and he is as bad as he showed he was with Cleveland. And Miami lost ground since he arrived there, and he's getting fewer and fewer minutes. So again,
we all knew this was going to happen.
But he screwed us, man.
He left us with the tuna, and we weren't going to eat the tuna. We're not having the tuna.
Oh no! I'm not going to eat the tuna. Yeah, but that's what happened. He left the Cavaliers holding the bag when the Cavaliers were willing to be fair with him, and so we didn't end up with an expiring contract. As critical as I've been about Karis LeVert, he's the other reason that we held on here to the 4th seed.
He's been a revelation.
He's been, the thing that is invariably true about Karis LeVert is that he works hard.
Yeah.
The thing is that a lot of this doesn't come easy to him. He is not a great defender, but he works so hard at it. He's got really long arms. He can get in the way of passing lanes, and he just will work his ass off. And on the offensive end, he's not a great 3-point shooter, although he's knocked some down, but he'll score the basketball. And there's been times when we've needed him to, when Darius Garland kind of lost his touch from the field, and he would come in and he would pick up the slack offensively for the team.
Well,
and we're fortunate.
Garland, I think he's not been right ever since he got hit in the eye. So he hasn't been right all season.
Yeah, I would say that, he's still shooting 41% from three, but I know what you're saying. And I think this is all great experience for the Cavaliers to experience the postseason, because everybody is going to come out and play more physically.
Yeah.
The question about the Cavaliers as a young team is whether they're going to really go out and do what they need to do physically to stop the New York Knicks. And you have Thibodeau, the Pepto-Bismol drinking machine, and he is going to tell his players to play rough and physically.
Beat us up,
and then try to get the game, in the open floor with turnovers or whatever. And the refs will let more body contact go.
I mean,
so a guy like Darius Garland who's been taking a lot of face slaps and things like that. It's going to get more physical in the playoffs for these guys.
Yeah, when we had LeBron, the Bulls with Thibodeau try to beat the crap out of him every game, and the rest of our players. So yeah, I mean, it's not going to be fun.
But Danny Green, the fact of the matter is, he's off of that ACL, and he's kind of stiff-legged, and the problem is, he hasn't gotten any minutes because when they really were planning on giving him some minutes late in the season, he contracted COVID. Wow. And that just didn't help anything. And he has been actually in the COVID protocol, if you want to call it that, twice. And he hasn't had a chance to play. He played 26 minutes in the last game, and he was chugging a little bit. But the truth is that as a pure shooter, it's a wonderful thing when they sag off and to play people in the middle. That might be the guy who, for moments of the game, will give us minutes. And if they want to double team Donovan Mitchell, and if they want to double team Darius Garland, they're willing to let LeVert work, but the kick out is huge. And if you get the ball into your big men, having Jared Allen and Mobley passing out the ball to a guy like Danny Green in the corner, he's just a guy who knows how to play the game. And I think that he is going to play some minutes in this series. And he showed why.
Yeah.
I'm very
I actually like the look of Diakite whenever I've seen him play.
Yeah, every time they talk about him, I think of Elton John. Diakite, are you cold in your little corner of the court? Yeah. But no, there are, and he's a hard worker too, but he's, I wonder about Diakite as far as his practice habits. I don't really know what the full story is. He's neither fish nor fowl. He's not a center, but he can jump. But he's not a ball handler, and he kind of plays more like he's a post person. But he does shoot 3-point shots sometimes. It's he's a weird toolbox. We can't really put and expose Danny Green on the court too much, because honestly, he lacks speed because of that ACL. And if we have another guy in Rubio who's coming back from the same injury, it would make the Cavaliers so slow that Blue Bayou is going to be what they'll be singing when the Knicks guys who are really fast just go running around them. So this is going to be kind of a magic trick to find the right rotations. But up to this point, I'm not seeing that that Dean Wade is the player that he was last year. And if Okoro's knee doesn't get better, then you're going to have a big problem defensively. But be that
Well,
as
I'd
it
love to
may,
see us get through. And
it's great to be talking about being there. I mean, we said last year, man, we fell apart at the end of the year. And we got into that plan and we just didn't handle it. And maybe we won't handle the first round of the playoffs, but we improved our regular season production to get to the point where we go right into a full series and even with a home court advantage. And I'm not sure that anybody would have predicted that. And we're only 1.5 games behind the 76ers. And I don't think anybody would have predicted that. So
I think if we get past the Knicks, we have a good shot against whoever we play. Yeah, but it'll be worth watching. I don't think it'll be a sweep or anything like that. But
yeah, what I see is, the Cavaliers were terrible on the road, and they finished out the season like 21-21.
Yeah.
So I mean, I'm sorry, 20-21. And so they damn near pulled to 500 on the road by the end of the season. And of course, their home record has been very, very good. So, Amsterdam, Dylan Windler. I was asking about him. It's like, how in the hell does this guy get hurt so much? He was just practicing and during a practice, during a G League game, he stepped on somebody's foot and twisted his ankle. This guy's made of plastic. And you can't count on him for anything. He's going to be gone because there's nothing else you can do with him. So, one thing that I do, watching the Guardians today, and it just hasn't really panned out.
Yeah, the Guardians.
The Guardians are losing to the Mariners right now, 5-3. They were ahead, but Savali gave up too many runs and had too much of the plate. And the guy hit a 2-run home run to break a 3-3 tie. And that was 5-3 in the top of the ninth with 2 out. The Guardians are going to be forced to try a miracle comeback. And you can't always win that way. But, again, we came in 5-2 off of the 7-game opening road trip. And that was pretty good. The thing I wanted to talk about is not specifically about the Guardians per se, but about the network who broadcast their games. The Major League Baseball has filed an emergency motion in Diamond Sports bankruptcy for the Twins Guardians payments. And the D-backs filed their own motion. So basically, Major League Baseball is stepping in and says, we'll show the damn games.
Yeah, I think I predicted that's what would happen because.
But the question is who and how and what it's going to be.
Probably be streaming, not on a network.
Everybody is going to cancel their subscriptions to Bally Sports Ohio and Great Lakes and whatever else the hell there is.
We'll try to cancel them and probably won't be able to.
Well, this is basically. What the motion said, and I'll quote, just 1 day prior to the April 1st due date for the first 2023 installment of the fees due to the clubs, the debtor RSNs informed the Guardians and the Twins that the debtor would not be making the required payments. Major League Baseball's lawyers wrote in its motion. The debtor made the decision, even though they continue to use the club's valuable intellectual property every day, and that's not Matt Underwood. By continuing,
or Rick Manning.
I'm never going to stop. It's terrible. By continuing to broadcast Guardians and Twins games, they generate post-petition revenue, yet boldly refuse to pay for the clubs.
Wow,
that is. That
sounds messy. You might have to get the Manhattan DA on that one. That sounds messy.
Yeah, it's an ugly situation, and I don't know what fans are going to do if they're going to, how they're going to seamlessly integrate something onto a new network. We're going to find out.
Well, most
because
of the fans are over 70 years old anyway, so they don't know how to stream games on a on a device. So I think they're going to be fucked. But
yeah, it's going to be tough. But I thought it was
oh, yeah.
interesting because this is what it's going to come down to. And, and believe me, Diamond Sports, Bally, those Bally properties that they own.
Yeah.
I am not a very fond of that organization. They're another
Oh, they're filled.
example of
They are
people
full.
who
Spectrum. Yeah,
there's
it's
nothing
full filled.
patriotic about not paying your fucking bills, okay? And so get over yourselves. I think that it's abominable, and that's we'll see what happens with the actual broadcast of the games. Although the fun thing about the Guardians is they get their bats on the ball. It's fun to watch the team play. It isn't like they're going to whack long balls, but they really do get their bat on the ball, and so they're and for the most part their pitching is not bad. I think we're going to have a problem so far, with Quantrill, who hasn't been the same since the tail end of last year, and we have Savali, who gave up 5 runs today. It's going to be a challenge with Tristan McKenzie out. It's going to be,
Yeah.
Wait a minute. I love you, Rick. Thank you. Long overdue.
So how's Tampa Bay? Tampa Bay are like undefeated, aren't they? I saw the standings.
I really don't know because I go through life just kind of sounding like this. Hi, you probably don't know me. I'm Dwayne Stat, and I'm the broadcaster for the empty stadium Tampa Bay Rays.
Yep.
It doesn't matter how good they are. People don't watch them.
Except for Dickie V when they're in the playoffs. He'll show up.
Yeah. When they get to the playoffs, suddenly fans show up. But it's like, I just want to see one time where Dwayne Stat goes off. It's like, where were you, motherfuckers, during the course of the 162 games? Where in the fuck were you? I just want to see him go off on the air.
We were on our yachts.
Bandwagoners, fuck yourselves. It's like, but I'll tell you, Florida is a notoriously tough. I mean, look at the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Oh, God. Do we have to?
Right. And look at the Miami Heat. The Miami Heat, they had LeBron James and Dwayne Wade. And people would stroll in the middle of the second quarter. There'd be empty seats.
Oh, there's a basketball game.
Yeah. You don't understand. Muffy and I were at a sushi bar, and we couldn't be disturbed. That's what we get in Florida. And with and the whole history of the Rays, are they going to play in Clearwater? Where are they going to play? And it was a weird thing. And there's been so much talk through the years that, man, this franchise could be making a whole lot more money than they're making if they were located somewhere else.
Yeah.
And I'm amazed that there hasn't been Las Vegas,
Yeah.
Although Dwayne Stat would not be the announcer, I lost all my fucking money in the Golden Nugget. Fuck those people. It's rigged.
They fuck you at the drive-thru.
At any rate, but it's fun watching the Guardians, and I'm a little bit worried about Zunino, the catcher, not being a very good defensive catcher. The Guardians lead the league with 8 wild pitches this year, and I can't help but think I saw Roberto Perez and others, Austin Hedges, stopping balls in the dirt, and this guy is kind of like, ole! Yeah. Toro. And double
I did
P's.
see a snippet of highlights of the other day where the Guardians gave up like 4 runs and a bunch of walks and a home run, and then Miles Straw made this amazing catch out of nowhere, which
Kenny Lofton action there. Yeah.
I would say Lofton wouldn't have even done it because Straw seems to have this innate ability to know where the ball's going to go to when it's hit. and he runs the best routes to the ball that I think I've ever seen anybody do.
He's
I
not
don't
a
think
great
Lofton got that one.
he's not a great hitter, but I'll tell you this, yeah, he is a premier defensive center fielder.
Oh,
And
instead of having Lonnie Scissorhands out there, and all the other clowns we've had over the years,
right.
Johnny fucking Damon, and
So, let me say a few things about a few other things before I get out of here. Bottom of the ninth now, with the
bottom of the
Guardians
ninth.
coming up to the plate, and it's da, 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 da. It's time. One way or the other, it's time to shit or get out of the bed, or shit and lay in it, or whatever the saying would be. The other thing is Joe Burrow. Yeah. You're not going to hear nothing about him because the PFF analyst, Brad Spielberger, an Irish guy.
I was just going to say that.
Look, if he's talking about money, I'm listening. Okay. Let's be clear about that.
He's got E.F. Hutton's ear.
Spielberger has Burrow leading the way amongst all of the fellow 2020 class that he was part of, including Jalen Hurts and Justin Herbert. He is projecting that Burrow will land a 4-year, $214 million contract with $185 million guaranteed at signing. That amounts to $53.5 million per year, which would make him the league's highest paid player on an annual basis. And of course, the only other quarterback to receive more money at signing is Deshaun Watson's $230 million. But you see, everybody will say, isn't that great for Joe? He's white. Isn't that great?
Correct.
He's arrogant as hell, and he's white. And look, we'll just throw money at Joe Burrow. No, but, Joe Burrow has done nothing in the league compared to our guy, Deshaun Watson. He's never had seasons like Watson had with a shitty team like Houston.
Oh, God.
So, yeah, that's right, Rick.
That's a good one.
That
was direct TV. I think he directed.
All those Hollywood ones, too. Geez. Yeah. So, at any rate, but everyone's going to say, isn't that great for Joe Burrow? And
Joe Mixon, the Double P bringing up the high character Joe Mixon.
Well, Joe Mixon now has been recharged.
Yeah.
They let him go, and now they're recharging him again.
Well, there you go.
So I don't know what's up with that, but maybe something else.
Maybe he should have paid the woman hush money. That might have worked.
It's, or maybe he should have found women on Instagram to beat up. I mean,
that would have worked. Yeah.
Yeah. I really don't know. I mean, but the fact of the matter is they found something out. I wonder if there's going to be one of those videos of him winding up and taking a big haymaker at somebody.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
We don't need any more of those.
Now, here's one of these stories that only in America.
Only.
You got the Augusta Masters tournament being played, right?
Yeah.
It's being played at the Riviera Golf Course. And to be honest, it's all about Tiger Woods playing, and he really shouldn't be because he really looks bad. I watched, and it was painful. Even the gallery that would cheer him on when they would see how badly he was limping.
Oh.
Yeah. He was walking the course like a drunken sailor, in essence, trying to find the lowest grades that he could walk up.
Oh, so he couldn't walk up on the trails,
Yeah, I mean, he was finding the easiest ways around the course. He, on the 11th hole of yesterday's round, man, he took half a swing and he recoiled and grimaced. And, and what's interesting is I'm just watching a video of a tree that fell in the middle of the round today at Augusta. And it's like the tree literally where the gallery was standing literally fell to the ground. And I was looking around to see if if John Daly had leaned on it.
Big fucking tree, huh?
Yeah. But yeah, what a strange. But the thing that's amazing is that in the first round, Phil Mickelson, of all people, not the 47-year-old Tiger Woods, but the 52-year-old Phil Mickelson, who has been badmouthed because of his association with the Saudi Arabian LIV
he's a cretin anyway.
tour.
I hate him.
I call him Goofy Phil.
He is a cretin.
And thank you, Raju. The Guardians have lost 5-3.
Get Mr. Celery out.
Yeah, too bad for the Guardians. But there's
another 160 more games that you have to.
There's always tomorrow. So at any rate, but there's Phil Mickelson shooting a 69, and he would take 68 more of those. Yeah. The bottom line is he's a happy, goofy Phil, and Tiger, meanwhile, is just trying desperately to make the cut, and it's hard to watch. It really is. Yeah. Play is delayed in Augusta because it's raining and the weather is whipping around pretty bad. Here's a headline you got to get used to. New Orleans Pelicans executive vice president of basketball operations, the self-proclaimed genius David Griffin, formerly with the Cavaliers.
Oh, yeah.
Said that Zion Williamson will not practice with the team Saturday, would not play in any play-in tournament games next week if the Pelicans are still in the play-in. I mean, the fact is Zion Williamson was the biggest waste of a draft pick you can imagine. The guy is not healthy. He will never be healthy until he goes to the Lakers, and then it'll be fine. So that's bad news for one team. Here's another one that just kills me. You have an important basketball game, right?
Yeah.
4 key Dallas Mavericks role players, these are role players, will sit out Friday night's home game against the Bulls, a game that the Mavs must win to avoid being eliminated from the play-in. So they're trying to extend their season, right?
Yeah.
But the 5th name that isn't playing is Kyrie Irving,
There you go.
And he must have fallen off the flat earth. This guy is never there when it matters for teams. What a piece of shit. So now they've announced Friday morning that Irving, with an alleged right foot injury, shooting guard Tim Hardaway Jr., left ankle soreness. There's the season on the line. Small forward Josh Green, they're resting him. Resting him for what?
Next year.
And and Max Kleber and Christian Wood would sit out against the Bulls for precautionary reasons. It's crazy. They're tied with the Bulls for the 10th best lottery odds and owes the New York Knicks a top 10 protected pick as the final payment for that Porzingis trade. And the Mavericks have to win both Friday night and Sunday afternoon against the Spurs, and the Oklahoma City Thunder must lose at home to the Memphis Grizzlies for Dallas to qualify. And there's Kyrie Irving saying, nah.
Yeah.
That's not for me. Meanwhile, Luka Doncic, who is, their best player, while there's still a chance I'm going to play, even though he's hurt, he's going to play. So you know who the gamer is. I'm being asked a question. The question is, whose girlfriend has a bigger bust?
That would be an interesting discussion, probably.
The bigger bust, Zion or Ben Simmons? The answer is Ben Simmons could never shoot in college. And for the life of me, I never understood what all the affection was for this player, because he's not right like
Yeah,
Kyrie.
he was like the Barkevius Mingo of the NBA. I mean,
It's
he looked
something,
like
yeah.
yeah, he looked like an athlete, but when you put him out to play, he runs by. Yeah, he doesn't. He just doesn't do anything.
Don't want to shoot the basketball because you never learned how. It's really
Yeah,
bizarre. And so who's the bigger buzz? Zion can play. The
yeah.
problem is he never resculpted his body in such a way, and his legs have taken such a beating that once the legs go in the NBA, everything goes with it. And
Money.
yeah, it's bad. And he's got pelican legs, literally. and,
Oh,
and
dear.
yeah, and he's got way too much upper body weight, and the legs just won't support that weight. Yeah, and that's funny. Amsterdam would look at it that way, but it is kind of funny. Yeah, everybody wanted to get that rookie card, you know.
Wow.
Yeah, and now what's it going to be worth now?
Probably the same as a Bradley Zimmer rookie card.
Yeah, we're getting some good comments in the chat room. All of these things are, and if he had the talent, he didn't work hard to improve the holes in his game, And Double P is asking a question. Any thoughts on the development of the Lamar situation? The Ravens continuing to agitate him. Rumors of Lamar to the Colts or Patriots. Even Mac Jones being
Mac
offered to
Jones.
teams.
Wow.
But again, it was Lamar Jackson overrated.
I tell you what, I'm just thinking Mac Jones and Harbaugh would probably be a good mix because they're both weird, boring, and crazy. So there you
Well, you
go.
just have to throw the ball 4 yards. But seriously, when a player comes out and says, "I'm asking for a trade,"
They're
that's
gone.
it.
They're
That's
gone.
it. I mean,
There's no coming back from that. There never is.
and there
It
shouldn't
never ends
be.
well.
There shouldn't be. You made a decision without an agent, and good for you. And the guy is totally overrated. And as far as I'm concerned, wherever he goes, he isn't going to have an offensive coordinator who sets up the offense strictly for his, I got to run the ball, I got to do options, I got to do this, and I get the choice whether I hand the ball off to the running back or whether I grab it back and if I do throw, I'm going to throw to the tight end every time because I can't consistently hit my wide receivers. They were willing to put up with that shit. To me, it's, you don't put up with shit from players. John Johnson III just gave the Browns shit. I don't care if he has technically more skill than somebody else. He was a pain in the ass, and he brought everybody down. And that's what you're dealing with here. Who is going to stand up for Lamar Jackson when he stands up and says, "I want to be traded"? You think his teammates are going to rally around him?
Yeah, you never come back from that. You don't even come back from that at a normal job. If you go into your normal workplace and say, I want to go somewhere else, you don't come back from that.
Yeah, and that's just what happened. And I guess that's par for the course. At any rate, I've said everything I want to
You
say.
got through the whole hour, and so did I. I thought it was gonna be
And to be honest with everybody, if something happens on the Ohio front, I'm going to let y'all know because I intend.
well, yeah, I'd get out of Florida. That would be my own,
Well,
my
I
own
mean, the
thinking.
thing is, there is an opportunity. There's always an opportunity to sell a home, but again, you got to think about what you're doing. And if you think a bad back's bad because of some nerve issues and all that, the arthritic condition isn't going to like the winter. You know what I mean?
Well, that's the thing. I don't think winters are going to be quite so serious. I think normally it's snowing at Indians opening days. It's probably like about 80 degrees out, or it's going to be hot this weekend. So,
Yeah.
the weather is getting warmer going north.
Yeah, for me, it's still lake effect during the
Well,
winter.
don't. I'm not saying go to Cleveland, but anywhere like in an arc around Seabus, you can
Oh,
get some great places in Columbus.
I want to be in Northeast Ohio.
Yeah.
That's that's what we talk about, and I know the area very well. And this is what I understand. It wasn't at all bad,
Yeah.
and I think there is a change afoot, climactically, but we'll see. We'll see what comes of it all. But I wanted to thank everybody for all of your condolences and for your
Aw.
patience and your understanding. And I'll be back again come Monday on Moohead Radio. So, Bronk, thanks for joining me. I appreciate it. And I'll see you all on Monday. Until then, hasta la vista, Pastor Heads. Good night.